These everyday items were quietly killing people for decades, until heartbreaking tragedies finally forced the laws to change. Number 10. Your basement water heater is basically a rocket bomb. You won't believe what number 1 still hides in plain sight today. Buckle up, because these stories are wild and some might make you check your own house right now. Let's dive in. Starting with number 10. Number 10. The basement missile. Picture this: your water heater sitting quietly in the basement, like a big metal drum full of superheated water under intense pressure. It's essentially a bomb waiting for the wrong combination of overheating, pressure buildup, and a failed safety mechanism. When one explodes, it's not a gentle burst. The tank can launch like a rocket, blasting straight up through multiple floors, ceilings, and even the roof with terrifying force. Real incidents have shown these things rocketing hundreds of feet sometimes, flying over houses, or landing far away after tearing through a home, turning the structure into chaos with scalding water, steam, and debris flying everywhere. The power comes from steam pressure that can exceed hundreds of psi if unchecked, far more violent than people imagine. For years, explosions claimed lives and caused massive destruction because older units lacked reliable safeguards. After countless incidents, including dramatic cases documented in investigations and even recreated in experiments like those on Mythbusters, engineers mandated the temperature and pressure TNP relief valve, that small brass lever on the side. It automatically opens to release excess pressure and prevent catastrophe. But the danger lingers. People still tamper with it, seeing a drip and plugging, capping, or disabling it to stop the annoyance, which is like silencing a smoke detector because it chirps. Never do that. Always call a professional plumber if there's any issue, because ignoring or modifying these valves can still lead to deadly explosions today. Number 9. The garage door guillotine. In the past, garage doors were massive, heavy slabs of metal or wood with no forgiveness built in. Kids playing tag, hide and seek, or just running around would duck under a partially open door. And if it started closing, whether by remote or manually, nothing stopped it. No sensors, no automatic reverse. It would crush anything in its path. From the 1970s through the early 1990s, dozens of children died or suffered devastating brain injuries, crushed chests, or other life-altering harm from these doors. Reports from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission showed more child fatalities from garage door entrapments than from some other household hazards, like faulty cribs, during the same period. Manufacturers were aware of the risks but resisted adding basic safety features because they added costs sometimes as little as $40 per unit and prioritized profits over lives. It took mounting deaths, parental outcry, and government intervention to force change. In the early 1990s, regulations mandated photoelectric sensors and auto-reverse mechanisms on new doors. Those invisible beams now cross the opening at eye level if a child, pet, toy, or even a box interrupts the beam. The door immediately stops and reverses upward. This simple technology, which had existed for years, finally became standard only after 2. Many families lost children or watched them endure permanent damage. Number 8. Killer cozy pajamas. Those soft, loose-fitting children's pajamas that seem so innocent. Decades ago, they were deadly fire traps. In the 1940s and 1950s, lightweight cotton sleepwear would ignite almost instantly near space heaters, candles, fireplaces, or even kitchen flames, burning children in seconds because the fabric acted like dry tinder with plenty of air to fuel rapid spread. Kids suffered horrific burns that often proved fatal or left them scarred for life. The initial response was to treat fabrics with chemical flame retardants, which sounded promising until one widely used chemical called tris 23D-bromopropyl phosphate was linked to cancer risks in animal studies, proving mutagenic and absorbed through children's skin. Parents faced an impossible choice: risk fire or potential long-term poison. After bans on tris in the late 1970s and further scrutiny of alternatives, the better solution emerged: require tight-fitting designs, snug pajamas, like modern ones that hug the body similar to leggings or thermal wear. Resist ignition and slow flame spread dramatically because there's less loose fabric and trapped air to feed a fire. Loose flowy styles literally cost young lives back then. But stricter flammability standards and design changes have made today's kids' sleepwear far safer. Number 7. The neckbreaker helmet. In high-speed racing, crashes are brutal. But the fatal injury often isn't the initial impact, it's the head snapping forward violently while the body stays harnessed in place, shearing the base of the skull or causing catastrophic basilar fractures. Dale Earnhardt Sr., one of NASCAR's biggest legends, died this way in 2001 at the Daytona 500. His head whipped forward at over 150 miles per hour after contact in the final lap, fracturing his skull base instantly and ending his life. The Hans head and neck support device, carbon fiber collars strapped to the helmet and shoulders, had existed since the 1980s, with tests showing it reduced neck forces by up to 80% in crashes. Many drivers resisted it, complaining it was bulky, restricted head movement, and felt uncomfortable. But after 3 similar NASCAR deaths in 2000 and then losing Earnhardt, the sport's most iconic figure, the outcry was overwhelming. NASCAR finally mandated HANS or similar devices in its top series starting later that year, phasing out alternatives over time. Comfort gave way to survival, and the device has since saved countless drivers by preventing those deadly whiplash injuries. Number 6. The corn coffin. Farm grain bins appear harmless dull, metal silos packed with corn, soybeans, or other loose grain. But step inside during unloading or to clear a clog, and the shifting grain becomes deadly quicksand. You sink rapidly waist deep in seconds, fully buried in under a minute, as the flowing material pulls you down like hydraulic quicksand, tightening around your chest with every breath until suffocation sets in. Farmers often entered alone to check levels, unclog augers, or probe bridges of grain. Without harnesses, lifelines, or spotters, hundreds died over decades, leaving families devastated. Purdue University and OSHA data tracked rising incidents, especially on family farms. Regulations finally strengthened. OSHA now requires full confined space, protocols for grain bins harnesses tied to lifelines, and outside observer monitoring, lockout-tagout on equipment to stop flow, and rescue gear like tubes to create air pockets or extract victims. These mountain climbing level safety measures for a routine farm task only came after too many fathers. Brothers and workers were lost to ENGULF MENT. Number 5. The ghost sponge inside you. Surgery succeeds. You recover then, weeks or months later, unexplained pain, fever, or infection strikes. A surgical sponge was left behind. These absorbent pads controlled bleeding during operations, but miscounts or oversight leave one inside. The body reacts with inflammation, forming a mass gossipy boma that can grow massive, some balloon to basketball size over years, causing abscesses, bowel obstruction, or sepsis. Horror stories of retained items prompted change. Sponges now include X-redactable threads or markers woven in. Before closing, surgeons perform counts and often use portable X-rays or scans to confirm none remain. Thousands of retained surgical items still occur annually, but these radiopack elements make detection far easier, preventing many from turning fatal. Number 4. The silent strangler cords. Long looped cords on older window blinds were far deadlier than most realized, claiming more child lives in some periods than shark attacks. From the 1990s into the 2010s, hundreds of toddlers strangled silently in under 20 seconds after tangling while playing, climbing, or napping near windows. No scream, no warning, just a quiet tragedy while a parent stepped away briefly. The industry long resisted cordless or safer designs, citing cost. Lawsuits, parental campaigns, and CPSC pressure finally led to 2018 rules mandating cordless options, short separated cords, or inaccessible designs on new stock window coverings. Millions of older corded blinds remain in homes, so inspect yours cut loops. Tie cords high out of reach, install cord stops, or replace entirely to eliminate the risk. Number 3. The jammed revolving trap. Revolving doors look elegant, but in panic, they become deadly bottlenecks. The 1942 Coconut Grove nightclub fire in Boston killed nearly 50. A small blaze in the basement lounge spread rapidly through flammable decorations, but the main exit was a single revolving door that jammed solid under the crush of fleeing patrons. People piled up, unable to push through. Other doors were locked, inward swinging, or blocked. Smoke and flames claimed most lives. This disaster, one of America's worst building fires. Drove sweeping changes. Codes banned inward swinging exits in public venues, required clear, illuminated exit signs with backup power, and mandated breakout features on revolving doors panels that collapse outward under crowd pressure to create wide escape paths. That innovation proved life-saving decades later, including in the 9/11's Twin Towers lobby, turning potential traps into panic-proof exits born from unimaginable loss. Number 2. The tiny battery killer. Button batteries, those shiny coin-shaped cells in remotes, toys, watches, and lights, are deceptively dangerous. If swallowed, one lodges in the esophagus, where its electrical current and chemicals burn through tissue in hours, causing severe internal damage, holes in the throat, or windpipe, or death. From 2010 to 2020, over 20 children died, with tens of thousands injured seriously enough for emergency treatment. Little Reese Hamsmith, just 18 months old, swallowed one from a remote and passed away after weeks of fighting. Her story galvanized action. Companies resisted stricter designs, claiming inconvenience. But advocacy led to Reese's Law in 2022. It mandates child-resistant compartments, requiring tools like screws or 2 simultaneous actions to open, plus tougher warnings on packaging and products. Those annoying screws now prevent easy access, saving young lives from this hidden household hazard. Number 1. The blind spot tragedy. SUVs and trucks have massive rear blind spots large enough to completely hide a child or small person. In 2002, pediatrician Dr. Greg Gulbranson backed into his driveway and tragically ran over his 2-year-old son. Cameron High wasn't careless, he simply couldn't see the toddler behind him. Devastated, Dr. Gulbranson spent over 15 years advocating relentlessly, teaming with safety groups to push lawmakers and the auto industry. Manufacturers argued backup cameras added too much cost, around $40 per vehicle, but he refused to give up. His efforts culminated in the Cameron Gulbranson Kids Transportation Safety Act of 2008, requiring the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to address rear visibility. By 2018, every new passenger vehicle under 10,000 pounds had to include a backup camera. Backover deaths, once around 200 annually, with many involving young kids, have dropped significantly. Every time you check that rearview screen, remember, it's there because one father's unimaginable grief forced the change that protects families today. That's the list: everyday stuff that turned killer until someone paid the ultimate price to force change. Crazy how safety often comes only after tragedy, right? If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe. We've got more coming on hidden dangers and the fixes that finally showed up. Drop a like if you're checking your home for any of these tonight. Stay safe out there.